Hello, Cleveland. Welcome to another post-game edition of the Dogland Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Joki. As always, we got Jack McCurry rolling with us, but tonight we have a special guest joining us for this post-game podcast to celebrate the Browns' first win of the season. He is Andy Lytle, a.k.a. LA Andy. Andy, it's been a few months since we talked to you back around draft time. How we doing, man?
I'm good, brother. What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on, man. Go Browns, baby!
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah,
Yeah,
baby.
hell yeah. Go Browns.
Oh my gosh, if they would have lost tonight, though, oh, oh,
I
oh,
know. I'm glad that we can spend the next week thankful that the Browns won the game tonight because I don't know if I could have handled more bench Baker talk or anything like that, and I'm glad that they were able to get the job done. Um, Jack, as we get started here, it was a big game from Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who really just completely dominated that Bengals defense along with the offensive line. They carried the offense 210 yards, 4 total touchdowns between the two of them. They broke out the orange pants tonight. It sure looked like it was Biner and Mac back there with the way that they were able to perform tonight.
Oh yeah, I mean, we talked about it going into the season. Like the key to this offense was running the football, and tonight was like the statement. Like this is what our offense is going to do. Defenses try to stop it. I mean, you have arguably the two of the top 10 running backs in the National Football League. You mean you had one drive where Chubb would take all the carries, and Hunt would come in and do it. I mean, it was such a dominant performance. One of my fantasy teams, I had both guys, so already chalked up 48 fantasy points in week 2. So
woo!
that is a fantastic start. But just
Love
to
it.
see this offense go through these two guys and then let everything else fall into place, it was just what I think we're going to expect for the rest of the 2020 season. Is if you're going to stop the Browns offense, you're going to have to stop number 24 and number 27. Andy, what was your thoughts on the performance?
Well, I told some friends before week 1 that to me the magic number is 30 plus touches per game for Chubb and Hunt, and they hit that number tonight. I believe it was 33 total touches between them both. I mean, we all knew with Stefanski's offense coming in that these guys were going to be the bell cows, and the offense was going to run through these two, and they're the engine of the offense. And it was nice to see Baker come out confident and drive the car. Because at the end of the day, Chubb and Hunt are our engine, but Baker is still driving the car, and gosh, did he need to come out with the start he did tonight, just for his confidence. Because that Baker Mayfield, not just the performance last week, just the confidence in his mannerisms and his body motions last week. He just did not look like the Baker Mayfield that we've known since Oklahoma, just from a confidence standpoint. So to see Chubb and Hunt run all over the Bengals and to see Baker come out smooth and confident, that's just what the doctor ordered, baby.
Yeah, let's give, because when they talk to the running backs post game, they always give a ton of love to the offensive line. And let me tell you what, tonight the offensive line without Jack Conklin, Chris Hubbard was in there. He had a incredible game. Wyatt Teller is throwing people left and right. The offensive line performance tonight. It's been a while since we've seen them be that dominant. I mean, they gave Baker a ton of time to throw. The NFL Next Gen stat said he had about 3.5 seconds to throw every time he dropped back, which is just absurd.
Yeah.
Which is about a full second more than what Joe Burrow had tonight. In the running game, they were able to um, really dominate the line of scrimmage, and um, not only the offensive line but the tight ends as well. Harrison Bryant was fantastic in the run game. Obviously, Austin Hooper. So the whole front seven, including the two tight ends, just played a dominant game in terms of blocking and protecting Baker and giving Chubb and Hunt running lanes.
Yeah, the whole offense, I mean, was fantastic tonight. Like you guys said, the offensive line was great. The tight ends did their job in the blocking game. Even the wide receivers. I mean, the couple of the runs that Hunt and Chubb pulled off, you see Beckham, Landry, Kadero Hodge, like everybody was involved in the blocking game because they know, like, if we're gonna win, and Andy said it, the engine of the offense is Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and they proved it tonight. And the Bengals defense is getting better, but they still can't stop the run. It's reminiscent of the Browns defense like 3 or 4 years ago. We knew we had some dogs on that side of the ball, but we just cannot stop the run against a lot of teams. So, the Bengals obviously are going to look and see what they have to do, but I'm sure everybody in the league knows our upcoming opponents like Washington, Dallas, Indianapolis, like if they're going to stop the Browns, they have to stop Chubb and Hunt, and I don't even know if they'll be able to stop them just as how dominant they are and have been.
And honestly, I give credit to Stefanski with the game plan that he came out with tonight. I think he knew that he was going to be able to run all over the Bengals tonight, but the fact that he came out with the first two plays, if I'm not mistaken, play action bootlegs with Baker to get him in a rhythm, and damn it, did he ever get in a rhythm? I mean, did he start off 9 of 10 or something like that? But I thought that was smart to get Baker confident and in a rhythm early. And worst case scenario, you go 3 and out, and the next drive you just pound Chubb and Hunt. So I really I think that was a purpose that Stefanski came out with tonight, was to get Baker in a rhythm and also get Odell going too. I mean, that was a big play, baby, and that looked pretty. That touchdown to OBJ looked pretty, developed pretty. It was fun to watch Baker tonight. It's even outside of the nice stats he put in the first half. I just liked his body language and his confidence tonight, because that's when Baker's at his best.
Yeah, they did a lot tonight to really help him out. You mentioned those opening play action passes. For him to do that, move the pocket on that bootleg, it just helps him see the field a lot clearer. And if you're going to do that, he started out 4 for 4. He had that long touchdown to OBJ. He should have had another one on the pass interference or holding that wasn't called.
My gosh! He ripped his jersey!
I know. If he didn't hold him, that would have been another touchdown to OBJ. So, I mean, he was connecting on all dots tonight. Hopefully, that interception that he had late in the second half, they could put that behind them. I know he got a little bit greedy there for that. I mean, if he held on to the ball for maybe another second and then threw it, Harrison Bryant would have been clear of the safety who picked it off. But he just got a little greedy in that situation.
Yeah.
But you're right. His body language was so much better. You could tell on the sideline at the end of the game when him, Landry, and OBJ were sitting there talking to each other. He looked like the Baker of 2018. And if this team is going to have success this season, he has to be that guy. And I know
he's got the keys, man. He's got the keys.
He's got the keys. He's got the keys to the franchise, and there's no benching this guy. And I'm glad, hopefully for now, people will shut up about that. So there's a lot that he still needs to improve upon, but it's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 more weeks. Maybe even to the bye week, which is week 9, to fully get in the groove, especially with no preseason. And whatnot, due to COVID and the pandemic and everything. So they've done a better job tonight getting him going, and he had a much better game.
Yeah, he only had the one mistake, and it was pretty bad. He didn't see that safety at all. He was possessed by the ghost of Ray Charles again for that play. But other than that play, I mean, really, that's really the only mistake Baker made all night that I noticed just from watching on TV. But yeah, it's just a relief, guys, because I could have not handled if Baker did not play well and we lost this game tonight. Oh my gosh, it would have been an avalanche of hell coming to us. It would have been bad.
And then it was already starting because, I mean, you have the national pundits, Cowherd, Florio, already talking about, well, Case Keenum and Stefanski had a great season together back in 2017. It's like, yeah, we know that. That's why he's here. But Baker needs this whole season. Like,
yes,
regardless if he has a bad game or a good game, like, let him ride the season out. Like, But
Yeah.
now he put together a good performance. The team won. They put up 35 points. Like everything's like on the right track now. And Baker even said, hopefully we can build confidence off of this. And if we
Yep.
can keep clicking, he said it's going to be a fun ride. You go. I mean, we had our bad week last week. We had our good week. We just got to start stacking the good weeks up.
How do we feel about them getting Odell involved early in this game? Because there's a lot of talk over the last few days, and there was a lot of talk across a lot of topics. But Odell was certainly at the top of the list. How do we feel about getting Odell involved early in this game? And they
It was
obviously had
smart.
success. Yeah,
It was
they had.
smart to do so.
It was very smart. They had success with that long touchdown pass, and um, you know, like Baker with them moving the pocket, if you get Odell involved early as well, the offense just kind of flows different,
Yep.
and I think that's something that they need to focus on moving forward.
It helps keep OBJ engaged from the jump too, which I think is key too. Like I don't think I don't think OBJ is like this bad teammate or anything, but I do think sometimes mentally he kind of breaks down sometimes from frustration, and I get it. It's tough, like the Baltimore, he was frustrated, and his play showed it. And tonight, you get him involved early. You get it just like Baker. You get him in a rhythm. You get him confident. You get him feeling good. You get that swag going. That's the kind of players OBJ and Baker are. And not again, guys. We're in the middle of a pandemic, COVID, with a new system. It's gonna take time to implement all this. It's gonna take time to build the chemistry within this new system. So again, I give credit to Stefanski for one, getting Baker in a rhythm right out of the gates and getting OBJ involved with Baker and getting that train rolling. And then you come pounding with Chubb and Hunt, and it was good night for the Bengals.
A famous poet once said, all we need is just a little patience. And I think Odell realized that. And, I think Andy put it best. Like, we got to keep him engaged. Last week, he didn't get the ball until like late in the second quarter, and you could tell the frustration on him. Granted, it was towards the end of the first quarter, but I think as soon as Baker seen him going down the sideline, he threw it up to him, and he did it twice, obviously, and both should have been touchdowns. William Jackson blatantly was tearing his jersey off.
How
But,
does that ref who's standing right there
Right.
not see that? My God.
Right, maybe his
Well-
mask was over his eyes, but
Well, that's the same ref that missed the AJ Green one early, the first play.
yeah,
It's the same ref.
yeah. I mean, it is difficult because we do have so many weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and we only have one football. But like, you got to keep everybody engaged, and whether you get the ball or not, you got to stay engaged. Like, you got to help all your teammates. And Andy, I agree. Like last week, I went on a tangent, said the Browns need to trade Odell. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We'll see how the rest of the season shakes out. But he was engaged tonight, and they got him the ball. He made his plays, and he put the Browns in a position to win, and we ultimately won because of it. So, I mean, it's just going to be a week by week thing with Odell, probably because he's a playmaker, and if we don't get him the ball, he's going to be frustrated. But at the end of the day, like, Baker did his job. He got everybody involved. We put points on the board, and we won. So, no complaints for me this week on OBJ.
Yeah, I mean, uh, somebody used the analogy this week, and I forget who it was, that compared him to a streaky three-point shooter. If you get that shooter involved early in the game, and he starts to find his rhythm, he's going to be hot for the whole game. But if you get him a touch here, a touch there, and he misses those shots, it's going to be a rough 4 quarters for him. And I feel like that analogy works so well with OBJ. If you get him involved early, as well as we saw, Stefanski getting Baker comfortable early, we're able to do those couple things. You're going to be in really good shape for the entire game. Not only that, they got touches for Nick Chubb early on, and he was able to start to cook early as well. So they came out with a great game plan. Kevin Stefanski did, and they were able to control the line of scrimmage. And getting these guys involved early on paid off for the entire 4 quarters. All right. Um, Looking at the defense. Now, the Browns did give up 30 points tonight. And unfortunately, um, it was a little bit rough go for them. But, there are so many injuries on the defensive side of the football that
they got to get healthy, man.
yeah,
They just got to get
they got to get
healthy. They got to get healthy because right now, from the linebackers to the middle of that secondary, it's just a sieve for teams to just shred apart. But I'm curious to see where we're at when we get Greedy and Johnson back and Mack. I'd like to see where the defense is at because I really like Joe Woods. I do. I think he was a mighty fine hire. And I think it's mostly I like the system that Woods runs. That's why I was just absolutely devastated when Grant Delpit got hurt. I cried a little bit. I was very, very excited for Grant Delpit. But they just got to get healthy at the end of the day. But, boy, we were talking about it before we started, boys. Denzel Ward balled the hell out tonight, man. Absolutely shut down A.J. Green tonight. What a game from Denzel Ward. I mean, that's what a lockdown corner does, what Denzel did tonight. Absolutely awesome performance. And I'm glad to see because I want to see that boy stay healthy because I know that boy can play. And he balled out tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing, and I think this is what fans look at. They look at the general statistics, and if Myles Garrett doesn't get a lot of sacks or Denzel Ward doesn't get a lot of interceptions, people don't think they're good football players. But, I mean, stats come up constantly saying Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are great football players. There's a reason why the Browns just paid Myles Garrett a shit ton of money. Is because he makes plays. I think he had 9 pressures tonight. The Bengals had 3 combined as a defensive unit. I mean, that just shows you right there what kind of animal Myles Garrett is. And then Denzel Ward, he shut down A.J. Green tonight. A.J. Green had 3 catches on 13 targets. And it wasn't just Denzel. Terrence Mitchell had a hand in that tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. But Andy
played well.
Yeah, definitely. Mitchell played well as well. But Andy did put it best. I mean, the injuries, you talk about it. Kevin Johnson's out right now. Greedy. We lost Delpit for the year. Mac Wilson's out there right now. Olivier Vernon didn't play tonight. Adrian Claiborne went out early. And then, guy that people seem to forget already, Andrew Billings. Yeah. I mean, those are 7 guys that would have made a impactful contribution to this defense, and they're all out right now. But yet, fans, I know they're irrational. They make hot takes and all that. They're just like the local media around here. I mean, the defense will get it together. I mean, look at tonight, Porter Gustin, a lot of people that not too many people might have known about unless you really love the Browns. I know our podcast buddies, Jeff Lloyd and Pete Smith have been talking about Porter Gustin for like a year now. He made some big plays tonight. Unfortunately, he would have had a sack, albeit he had the face mask penalty, but he was blowing it up back there. I mean, Joe Jackson, who we just picked up a couple weeks ago, was getting involved. I mean, there is some talent on the defensive side of the ball, but once we get healthy, we won't truly know how good this defense can be. I mean, it's looked bad the first couple weeks, but there is some dogs on that side of the ball right now. So, once we get everything healthy, I think everything's going to start to take shape. So Andy, what's your thoughts on the linebackers right now? Obviously, they have, Malcolm Smith, they have Sione Takitaki, Tay Davis, they have some guys there right now, but they're just not finding.
I mean, I mean, if we want to be completely honest with ourselves, I mean, it is one right now, especially with Mack out, it's probably the worst unit in the league.
Yeah.
And not to mention, is it probably one of the, it's definitely definitely one of the worst units in the league. You also got inexperience there. I mean, Taki, he doesn't have a lot of reps. I mean, even Mac Wilson, who's probably one of our better linebackers, if not our best, he doesn't have the most experience and reps either. And not to mention, again, guys, it's a new system again. And I really like Joe Woods' system. I like the way he uses defensive backs. I love the flexibility that he tries to find players that have a lot of versatility in the secondary, and I like that. That's the kind of league that we play in nowadays. I just want to see this defense get healthy. The linebackers, I think I don't think it's going to be pretty at all this season. Even when Mac comes back, I think it's going to be one of the lesser units in the league. It's definitely something that Andrew Berry and company, I'm positive, will address in free agency in the draft next year. I would assume it doesn't seem like linebacker would be something that they'd make a splash in free agency for. It doesn't seem like a position that they'd want to pay for. I mean, they didn't pay Joe Schobert, so I would assume, my assumption would be that it's pretty much a given they're going to take a linebacker with one of their first 3 picks in next year's draft.
Yeah, I really think that they'll just keep dipping into the draft. Yeah. Maybe not even like a first round pick, but I would say anything from like second, third, or fourth. Yeah. That they'll just keep dipping in there until they find a gem. I think, back in April, we were all hoping for, Logan Wilson or Akeem Davis-Gaither, and they're both on the Bengals defense. So, I mean,
I know.
Goodson's shown some flashes. Tagi has as well. And I mean, Malcolm Smith obviously is the leader in that room right now just because he's got the most experience. Yeah. Well, hopefully when Matt comes back, I know some of the fans have overhyped him, but hopefully he makes a contribution. I mean, he had some flashes his rookie year. It's a new system. Hopefully he'll be 100% when he gets back, and we'll see what he can do.
And you said it too, because I hope people don't have this huge expectation for Mac. I know they're going to, but guys, he's still a young player in a new defense. Doesn't have a lot of reps in his career, and he's coming off a pretty significant knee injury. It was a hyperextension, but man, it looked ugly. It looked bad.
I mean, he's lucky it wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, he's coming off the knee injury. He's in a new defense. It's gonna be like a spring like a baseball player in spring training for him. It's gonna take him probably 2 or 3 weeks to get kind of in full speed. So, it's just we just got to ride the storm out until we get healthy. And thank goodness we have 10 days to get that defense healthy. I'm really hoping that we can at the very least, have Greedy and Kevin Johnson back by week 3. That would be ideal. I would think and hope that we'll have enough time to get that accomplished. 10 days. I hope.
Not only them, but Jack Conklin as well, Olivier Vernon. Maybe Mac Wilson. We'll see, but hopefully, get some much deserved rest after a short week. Come back next week, get some practice in, and hopefully some of these guys can return and be healthy for their next game.
And get Ronnie Harrison more acclimated with the defense.
Yes, because
I seen him out there tonight on a couple plays, but I'm sure he's still not 100% into the playbook or into his role. But I think within 10 days, I think you're going to see much more of him in that secondary.
Yeah, it's almost a mini bye week when you have 10 days in between now and your next game. So they're able to do some things, get healthy, I think is the most important thing. But like you mentioned, getting Ronnie Harrison more involved, I think is something that they're going to do, because let's be honest, Andrew Sendejo ain't cutting it. I know he's kind of thrown in there with Grant Delpit being hurt, but unfortunately, I think Harrison's going to definitely supplant Sendejo moving forward, and hopefully Harrison can get more involved over the next 10 days before the next game. Let's talk about Joe Burrow here for a second, because the first overall pick in this year's draft threw the ball 61 times tonight. Had 316 passing yards, a couple touchdowns. I was impressed with some of the things he did week 1. I was impressed with some of the throws he made tonight. Do we think, after these couple games, that Joe Burrow is going to be added to the great list of young quarterbacks here in the AFC North?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you could see it. LeBron tweeted out during the game, Burrow has the it factor. I think, he's got the weapons around him, but I think we can all see that offensive line is not good right now, and they need to invest heavily. If they have a bad season, they better hope and pray they have a top 5 pick so they can get Penny Sewell out of Oregon, because that dude's supposed to be like the real deal. And if you have him and Jonah Williams as your offensive tackles, you're heading in the right direction. But yeah, Burrow made some good throws tonight. Just it's amazing he threw 61 times. Looking at it now, the Bengals offense ran 85 plays. The Browns offense only ran 58 plays. So, I mean, that's just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, but I definitely think Burrow is the answer for them at quarterback. And it's going to be fun, hopefully, for the next decade to see Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson fighting for the AFC North Division crown.
Yeah, it's like I was telling my dad earlier. I went over to my dad's to watch the game tonight, and it's like we were talking about Burrow, and I said, I understand, being a great college player, that doesn't translate to the NFL all the time, obviously, but I just have a hard time believing that a quarterback who threw 60 touchdowns and only 6 picks at LSU would be anything at worst a top 15 quarterback. I would sure hope. But he looked good. He looks good. He looks good. There was a few plays tonight where he looked like a rookie. Held on to the ball too long. Especially in the first half. I think it was the first half. He took a sack on the right sideline. Should have never taken that sack. Should have gotten thrown the ball into the first row. But no, I think it's pretty safe to say that Joe Burrow is going to be a player.
Before we get out of here, is there anything else that you would like to see the Browns clean up over the next 10 days besides the defense?
Kickoff coverage.
What was up with that tonight?
That was because we all thought special teams, there wasn't going to be an issue. Preefers did a damn good job last year. I mean, granted, the bottom of the roster, there was some turnover. I mean, there's no mistaking that. So he's got to get these guys acclimated to what he wants to do special teams wise. But that first half, some of them kickoffs were a little sketchy. I was getting nervous. So, hopefully they definitely need to clean that up. Other than that, I mean, I don't have any complaints offensively. Just start, building confidence off of tonight's performance. Defense, obviously, just get healthy.
I don't think there's nothing in particular. I don't think there's anything in particular that I want them to. Well, actually, one thing is just I want to see Baker to continue to improve and progress. I can't stress that enough. Even tonight, that was a bad pick. That was a really bad interception. And the Bengals took advantage of it. They went right down the field, scored a touchdown. Now it's a 5-point game. That was a bad interception, bad point in the game, bad end of the, they were almost into the red zone at that point. I think they were just outside the red zone. Or were they in the red zone? It was close, whatever. I think they were 25 or something. But I mean, that was not a good decision. It was just one of Baker's bad picks that he seems to have with at least one per game. I'd like to see him have a mistake-free, interception-free game where he doesn't have to put up 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. Just be accurate, make the plays, go through your progressions. He needs to get better at going through his progressions and seeing the field and seeing the coverage. And if he continues to build on that, that's what I want to see. That's the biggest thing for me right now.
If the Baker Mayfield that played tonight plays exactly this way for the rest of the year, the Browns will be fine. He doesn't have to do anything special. He
really doesn't.
I think that he just kind of has to be above average. He doesn't have to. Do. I mean, he got greedy there at the end on that interception. He doesn't have to do that. If he can take care of the football, be a distributor, he'll be in really good shape. And I think this Browns offense will be in really good shape as well. If there's one thing maybe I would like to see clean up a little bit would be the penalties. They did have 8 penalties today for 76 yards. I know that's nitpicking a little bit, but there's just some dumb things that could have been avoided, and it's just something that you're gonna get. That's gonna happen, but I don't want to see it become a trend like we saw last year.
8 penalties? Freddie would have been proud of that performance.
Would have been below Freddie's average.
Right. Um, on our Twitter account over at the Dogland, we put up a poll to see who you guys wanted to vote the inaugural mayor of Dogland. Last year, we did have the 1085 Top Dog, but since we changed the podcast name, since we rebranded, we're also going to rebrand this as well. So if you guys go over to our Twitter page, vote for who you believe is the mayor of Dogland this week. The options we put up is Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Denzel Ward. And so far, the leader in the clubhouse with about 120 votes is Nick Chubb at 69%. So I think it's pretty nice, right? I think it's pretty clear that Nick Chubb deserves to be the inaugural mayor of Dogland. Jack, Andy, who do you guys got for the first one here?
Go ahead, Jackie.
The best running back in the National Football League, Nick Chubb.
I'll go with his counterpart, his tag team partner, Kareem Hunt, since you went with Chubb. But it wasn't, guys. The greatest thing about tonight was I think Chubb broke. It was in the fourth quarter. Chubb broke that big run. I think it was in the fourth, and they took him off the field to give him a breather. And I turned to my dad and I go, "Isn't it amazing that you can bring in a former rushing champ to give Chubb a breather?" It's just amazing.
It's so crazy. And then I see like Joe Banner saying, why did Kareem Hunt take that contract? Because he wants to be a Cleveland Brown, Joe. Like he's always complaining about contracts the Browns are signing. Like, Joe, just don't be mad that you don't have a job anymore. Like,
I mean, whatever, Joe. He wouldn't even pay Phil Dawson. The
Right.
only guy the only consistent Brown for the whole tenure since '99 that we've had, and we wouldn't even pay him a few $1,000,000. So whatever.
Right. Like, it's just crazy. But yeah,
And Joe, you never sent me those nudes either, by the way.
Oh,
Only the OG Browns Twitter fan will get that one.
I remember that. Oh my god, that was fantastic.
All right, you guys got anything else before we get out of here? Wrap up this post-game show?
Now, just hopefully the players stay smart, stay healthy, and stay out of trouble during this weekend of celebration. And we'll jump right back into it next week to get ready for the Washington football team.
Absolutely.
All right, Andy, I know it's been a while since you've done what you normally do in streaming, but if you want to let everybody know where they could find you, where they could find your podcast,
sure,
your Twitter account and everything, the floor is yours.
Yeah, you guys. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, guys. I love you guys. You guys are my boys, so it's always awesome to come on and talk Browns with you guys. You can find me on Twitter at Andy Cleves _ Andy Cleves on Twitter. I actually, for fun, I actually just started a new Browns account. And the Browns Twitter seems to be having fun with it and enjoying it, and I'm having fun tweeting with it. It's Browns _ Iran. Browns backers Iran. It's a little fun parody account that I started that, you know what? 2020 could use a laugh, and that's all that account is for, just to have some laughs. But you can I also have a podcast. I'm a podcaster too, guys, but I don't have a Brown. I'm like the only one on Brown's Twitter that doesn't have a Browns podcast. I think I'm slacking, but I'm a huge movie fan, and especially horror movies. And if you like horror movies, me and my buddy Brian, we have an awesome podcast called Dead in Santa Carla. You can find it on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all of it. So if you like horror and film in general, definitely check it out. We have some funny, kick-ass discussions.
I guess since you don't have a Browns podcast, maybe we can claim you.
Yeah,
one of ours.
Why not? Actually, I think
You're always welcome, brother.
I think this is the only. Or no, I went on with Caitlin before in Crunch Time with Caitlin. I've been on with you guys, so yeah, I think this is the only two. Yeah, those are the only two I've been on, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
I guess we could have a battle between us and Caitlin for you.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? She's my Twitter daughter, so I gotta take care of my Twitter kids. But yeah, guys, thanks for having me on, man. It's always a blast to come on with you boys, and go Browns. Thank gosh they did not lose tonight. I could not have handled. Tomorrow would have been a nightmare, and you guys know this. It would have been.
It would have been 10 days of this nonsense, and it would have been terrible.
I already proclaimed if they would have lost, you guys wouldn't have seen me on Twitter until like next week. I would have just disappeared.
You know how serious Jack was about this? For the first time in 5 years of me knowing him, he sent me his phone number, and it was like, if the Browns lose tonight, I am not going to be on Twitter. Send me his phone number. I'm like, damn, this is really serious. This is the first time I've had Jack's number the 5 years I've known him. So,
yeah, and they think they didn't lose. So, man, but I couldn't have handled it if they would have lost. And Baker did not play well. I couldn't have handled it, guys. I think honestly, the first week one, what stung me more was the play of Baker Mayfield more than getting blown out by 32 points. That was more deflating for me, Baker's performance. And that's why it was such a relief how strong and confident he came out today. And I know it's against a very battered, piss poor Bengals defense, but baby steps, man. And I'll take it. I will take it. And I hope he builds on it moving forward.
Jack, Andy did mention podcast distribution, and I know today you worked on something with our podcast. So if you want to let people know where they can follow you on Twitter and where they can check out the Dogland podcast.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at JackMcCurry08, and you guys can obviously find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts. But a new one is Amazon Music. If you listen to the Amazon Music app, you can now listen to podcasts on there. So search the Dogland, and you'll find the Dogland podcast. So check it out on there as well.
I appreciate Jack for taking care of that for us today. So we're happy to join another podcast platform to add to the plethora of options that there are out there. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, so many platforms out there to listen to our podcast. And we're always thankful for those that do listen to us and interact with us. We truly appreciate it. Be sure to follow our account over at the Dogland on Twitter and on Facebook. You can follow me at Anthony Joki, JOKI. With all that, we're going to get on out of here on this victory episode of the Dogland podcast. And I'll leave you with this, and it's the most important thing, especially tonight after a win. Go Browns.